Backstage Knitting Podcast. Backstage Knitting Podcast. Backstage Knitting Podcast. Backstage Knitting Podcast. Grab your knitting and a cup of tea. Beth and Anna, what more could you need? It's the Backstage Knitting Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Backstage Knitting Podcast. I'm Bethany, and I am your host. That is Roxy. She's freaking out. She'll quiet down in a sec. Today is Thursday, July 19th, 2018, and this is episode 42. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are a new listener or a returning listener and or viewer, thank you so much for coming back and giving us a try, and I really appreciate it. Let's see. There are, again, no shout-outs this week, but if you are new or not new and you haven't introduced yourself, hop on over to the Ravelry group. Introduce yourself. There is a getting to know you thread where you can just, say hi, your name, where you're from. I like to find out what you like to work on. Do you do theater too? All of those sorts of fun things. And I write back, and then on the next episode, I give you a shout out. And thank you for listening, because I really appreciate it. Let's see. Social media. Yay! Social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. Show notes, where I will link to all of the things I talk about, can be found at backstageknitting.com. You can email me with questions, comments, concerns, feedback, anything like that at backstageknitting@gmail.com. You can join our Ravelry group, Backstage Knitting Podcast. We've had some fantastic conversations, and it's just, a great place with awesome people. So you should give that a try. You can subscribe to the audio version of the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get such things. Or you can subscribe to the video feed, where I am now taping video podcasts at the same time. And you can subscribe to that on YouTube. And yeah, I think that is it as far as businessy sort of stuff. So let's just jump right in with what I have on the needles. So first up, I have my Mama Vertebrae, which I am still working on. Fortunately, we got kind of a heat wave in the Northwest this last week, which has really dampened my desire to have large piles of wool on my lap. But I've finished the regular, stockinette part of this sleeve. And this is the Mama Vertebrae by Kelly Van Nieker, something like that. And I'm doing this in Knitted Wit in their Victory Sock in their Rainier colorway. And it kind of has like a half sleeve. And I have started the ribbing, so I have about 3 more centimeters of ribbing to do on the sleeve. And I was listening to Downseller Studio, I think her last episode, not the one she just released, I think episode 29? Or episode that came out on June 29th, not episode 29, because she's into the hundreds now. But she was saying, Boston Jen, that she found this technique where when you switch from stockinette to ribbing, like at the end of your sweater or whatever, when you go down your needle size to do another row in stockinette in the smaller needle size, and then when you switch to your ribbing, to purl your purls, but then slip your knits, and it creates a smooth transition from the stockinette to the ribbing without that little ribbing jump that you often get. So I'm going to hold it up here for those who are watching on YouTube, that there's hardly any difference between like there's no dramatic jump, as opposed to at the bottom of the body. I know this is hard because of the super like variegatedness of the yarn, but there's definitely a like jump transition there. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that's coming along. I did work on it a little bit more the other day because it had cooled down enough that I could have the sweater in my lap. And it also cooled down enough that everybody's AC was way too cold, and I was like, man, I need this sweater done because I'm cold. What else have I been working on? I've also been working on the sockhead hat in the Sneaky Snake colorway, and this is the sockhead slouch hat by Kelly McClure, which is just nice, round and round, basically. I think I have 4 or 5 more inches before no, I have less than that. I don't know, before I start the decreases, but this is Sneaky Snake, so it's Slytherin colors, and it's very interesting to see how the stripes stripe up. The Sneaky Snake, there are thicker stripes with more color variation in the stripes, as opposed to the Lionheart one that's Gryffindor colors, where they're thinner stripes. So I've worked a little bit on that, but not a ton. I have also, again, this kind of got has been on hold, what with Tour de Fleece and the temperature. But my Dotted Rays shawl, this is Dotted Rays by Stephen West, and I'm knitting it out of Neighborhood Fiber Company's Marriage Equality Gradient set. And I have started my second green stripe. And this is just bright and cheery and delightful. And hopefully I will get more of this worked on in the next couple weeks. It's just so much fun to look at, but it was just too warm. Too warm is kind of where we were at. So there is that. And then I went to a baseball game. I went and saw the Tacoma Rainiers about a week ago, and I don't know, something like came over me, and I really needed to make a pair of socks, but in a more traditional, like old school pair of socks sort of way. Because I usually do my socks magic loop, toe up, fish lips, kiss heel. That's kind of my go-to just vanilla sock recipe. But I had seen the Port Gamble socks by Fairlight Fibers pop up on my newsfeed, not my newsfeed, my Instagram feed, a while ago. And I really wanted, they've been brewing in the back of my head. So I printed out the pattern and I went to this baseball game and I cast them on. And then I came home and ripped them out because I cast them on in ones and they were just too small. So I dug up my size 2s, and yeah, so these are cuffed down. They're a little shorty cuff. And I'm doing them on double points, which again, these are ways I don't usually make my socks, but they have a heel flap and gusset, but it's a garter stitch little heel flap, which I think is interesting. And I tend to wear a lot of hand knit socks with my like 2-strap Birkenstock Arizonas or clogs, and I just thought that the garter heel would be something fun popping out of my sandals and my clogs. And I am doing this out of, I believe the yarn is called Mondim, and I think the color is 201, but it is some very pretty like reds, fuchsia-y pinks, some white, and like a dark dusty purple. My boss got them for me for not for Christmas, but for my birthday this last year. And she got me another skein of it in like blues and oranges, which I'll probably do the next pair out of. But this is 100% Portuguese non-superwash wool, which I'm glad I looked at the tag to go write these show notes, because that would have been really bad. But yes, I can't really read most of the tag. It's not in English. So those are the details I found in that. But yes, I have a sock done. I am past the heel. And it's just kind of been nice, because this is not a giant pile of wool sitting in my lap while I do other things. Yes, let me see. I think that is all I have going on the needles that I have actively worked on since I talked to you last. So we will move on to off the needles. And I actually have something off the needles this week. I worked really hard to make sure that I had something finished. And I finished the other sock head slouch hat. And this was in the Lionheart colorway. So they're Gryffindor colors. And this is for my sister's birthday, as she identifies as a Gryffindor. And you can see that the length of the stripes between the gold color and the red color, it's much shorter than that of the Gryffindor colors. And yeah, I finished it. So I have a couple other things I have to order, and then she will get her birthday present in July, which is great, when her birthday is in November. Yay! So I was happy to have that done. Let's see, moving on. Spinning! I have done so much spinning, which has derailed some of the knitting also. But Tour de Fleece started on July 7th, and I didn't really set a specific goal. I was sent a big box of like variegated roving, not variegated, but a variety pack. That's what I'm looking for, a variety pack of roving to review, and I've just kind of been playing. So if somebody were to ask, I would tell them that the theme of my Tour de Fleece this year has just been kind of crazy fun with colors. So some of the things I've been working on, I have stuff going on my wheel, I have stuff going on 2 different drop spindles. So here is the first bobbin I worked on, and we have a black, and I think this is a like licorice snap colorway. But if you kind of dig underneath there, there's a pink that I did the whole bump of this pinkish purple thing there. And then on this drop spindle, I've been doing Wonder Woman colors. So I've been doing some in red, and then I have a yellow and a blue. So I've been kind of doing a Wonder Woman thing and just kind of rotating between the 3 colors as I get tired of one and want to start the other. And then on my other drop spindle, I have been working with this apricot kind of color that has been lots of fun. I think I'm about to the point where I need to take this off the spindle so I can finish that. Then I have a couple other colors currently going on my wheel that has some like browns and a teal and this really pretty blue. But I've just been having fun playing with trying these colors and that colors, and nothing specific has been like declared as far as yardage and all of that. But from there, I'm going to move into the official review. So Kramer Yarns was nice enough to send me the variety pack for their Mouch Chunky Roving. And it is 100% US wool, 28 microns, and sold in 1 pound quantities on their website. And I did post a picture of the full box, like right when I received it and shortly before Tour de Fleece started. But here is part of their variety pack. Their pinks and purples and greens and some earthy tones that have kind of other colors. I would almost call it like an oil slick sort of thing, and they're kind of heathered, and it's beautiful. It's been great to work with. I've really enjoyed it. I really like that when you kind of undo the bump, that it's in a small enough chunk that I don't have to do a whole lot of prep work to make it fit my hand. I can draft it through my hand pretty easy. It's pretty skinny. I don't know if you wanted to do big, thick, chunky stuff, if you would have to do other stuff to it. I tend to naturally spin pretty fine, so yeah, I'd definitely go give the roving a chance. I'm really enjoying working with it. I may go out and order some more in those 3 Wonder Woman colors, because, well, I'm a little obsessed right now. Yes, but we got, it's pretty like magenta color, and their teals. I've really been impressed with their blues. And yeah, I'm just having a really good time spinning. Yeah, I like spinning. Let's see. I think that is it. So thank you to Kramer Yarns for sending me their variety pack. I'm having a lot of fun working on it. And you should go check it out, and I will link to their website in the show notes. Okay. In rehearsal and performance. Well, New Muses Theater Company, where I'm the box office manager and sound designer person, and kind of whatever else needs to happen, we closed our production of Lysistrata this past weekend, which was great. We sold out the last performance and had really good attendance the majority of the run, so that is awesome. I'm totally stoked about that. And we will open God of Vengeance sometime in August. I think the second weekend in August, I think. Yeah, and I'll be doing sound and running box office and probably costume help. It's set in like 1910-ish, so it's not quite the same as just picking out modern outfits and having people, kind of buy the stuff they don't already have. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've got going. Everything has been a little nuts because I've been doing this internship as part of trying to finish my bachelor's degree. So things have been a little nutty, but they are plugging right along. Okay, let's see. Netflix and knit. So I've had some of the regulars on TV as, normal. I have some Gilmore Girls and some How I Met Your Mother and kind of some of those usual Bethany puts them on in the background kind of shows. But ones I haven't talked about for 42 episodes. The other night, Nick and I went to the drive-in, and we went and saw, it was a double feature of Ant-Man and the Wasp and The Incredibles 2. I really liked both of them. Ant-Man and the Wasp was a completely different movie than what I had anticipated. Based off of the previews, I kind of expected it to be this, like, buddy-buddy teamed-up crime fighting, action superhero movie. And it was definitely, it was more than that. It was really good. And I've had a crush on Paul Rudd since 1995. As it turns out, he's 49 years old. No idea. I was talking to several people who were like, did you know that he is 49 years old? And I was like, no, I didn't. But I did, because we looked it up at the movie, because in my head he was only like 42 or so, and so that was, yeah, But it was really good. I highly recommend it. Definitely make sure you stay for the post-credit scenes. I saw a thing on the internet that was like, it's 2018 and people still leave before the post-credit scenes, and it was Ant-Man and the Wasp and Hank Pym like making a what face, and I think that's accurate. And then we also saw The Incredibles 2, which I really, really liked. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Incredibles. Like, it was fine, it was a good movie, but the way lots of people wanted to go, you know, they were really pushing for a second Incredibles, and I just wasn't. I think since it came out in theaters in 2004, I saw it in theaters, and I've seen it like 1.5 times since then, so it's not my Pixar movie. I like it, it's good, it's fine, but it's not one, you know, I'm more of a Monsters, Inc. kind of person. And yeah, I think I liked Incredibles 2 more than the first one. I thought it was really, really funny and thoroughly enjoyable, and you should go check it out. And then the other night, when it was way too hot to knit or, well, function, really, we turned on Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, and that is streaming right now on Hulu. I really liked it. Again, it was one of those movies that it wasn't what I was expecting, and this is definitely, that's not a family-friendly movie. Like, it is rated R for a reason. Don't watch it with your 8-year-old. In fact, you might want to not watch it with your 18-year-old, not because of content, but because sometimes watching adult things with your child at any age can be really embarrassing. Yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. And then we have also been watching, because I'm on a Wonder Woman kick, the first season of the 1970s Linda Carter Wonder Woman television series. And yeah, it's really interesting to watch just what Wonder Woman was in the 70s and how that sort of, well, what's interesting, okay, so the first season of Wonder Woman was on ABC and set in the 1940s. So a whole lot of it is Wonder Woman against the Nazis. But what I didn't realize at the time was that so much of her motivation as a character was to be near Steve Trevor. And a lot of what she ends up doing isn't so much saving the world, but is in, like, saving Steve Trevor, which I'm not super crazy about. I kind of like Wonder Woman having her own, we're saving the world for the sake of saving the world and not specifically to please one man. But, you know, because in the movie, she's basically just an awesome person for the sake of being an awesome person and doing what's right, and oftentimes Steve Trevor tells her not to, and she does it anyways. But yes, and then seasons 2 and 3 were originally aired on CBS and set in the 70s, so I'm really interested to see what Wonder Woman against the Nazis versus whatever Wonder Woman was against in the 70s, how that sort of, what that looks like. But yes, so we're about halfway through season 1, and it's the most 70s thing in the whole world, even if it's supposed to be set in the 40s. And it's delightful and amazing, and I love it. I think that is the biggest, the most that I have watched that I haven't talked to you guys about before. Let's see, moving on, craftivism. So, I wanted to give kind of a shout-out highlight to the yarn store Craftivist in Atlanta, Georgia. At least I assume they're in Atlanta, Georgia. It's all just Craftivist Atlanta, and I assumed it was Georgia. But I'm linking to their Facebook page in the show notes, so we can double-check that. But along with their other regular, like, knit nights and stuff, they are now hosting a Craftivist together, and right now they're working on welcome blankets. And I really wanted to give them a shout out for giving people a regular place, an opportunity to use your crafting for good. And, you know, another way to kind of spread the warmth and all of that. So, and I was wondering, for all of you listeners and viewers out there who are in the general Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Tacoma, and surrounding area, is that something you would be interested in doing? Maybe like a one Sunday a month sort of deal. You could rotate between South Side and North Side. I will open it up for discussion in the Ravelry group. It's something I'm very interested in doing, and it doesn't have to be all welcome blanket, you know. There's knitted knockers, there's knit aid, there's just a ton of stuff where we can do a little bit extra and create a little bit of warmth to make the world a slightly warmer place. I think that is really, really important. It, of course, should not be the only tool in your tool belt. You know, you need to show up to things and call your representatives and vote. But sometimes we need to feed our soul while we are also feeding the rest of the world. Yeah, and I want to I found a quote in the book Knitting for Good by Betsy Greer, and it says, "Believe that the personal is political, and that every choice and action we make affects not only ourselves and our lives, but the lives of others as well." I think that is really important because people like to, you know, sweep their politics under the rug, and they don't want their knitters to talk about it. They don't want their celebrities to talk about it, but it's very personal, and it affects you in your daily life. And if something is unjust and it doesn't necessarily affect you directly in your daily life, that doesn't mean it's not affecting other people. So, and I think that is incredibly personal and something we all need to take a step back and consider. And then go out and do something good for the world. But moving on. So, Yarny Adventures. On Saturday, July 7th from 2:30 to 5, I hosted a Tour de Fleece kickoff event, and more than my mom showed up, so that was awesome. We were kind of in a grassy area, sort of between the stage, the pavilion, and the library. And it was awesome. I mean, I just wanted to knit or spin in the park with some rad people, and that's exactly what I did. I want to give a big thank you to Rainy Day Yarns for providing water, and Homestead Hobbyist for providing door prizes. I really appreciate it, and everybody was hydrated and happy to have prizes. So thank you to them. Yeah, it was really nice. There was a slight issue where some of the spinners thought that they were going to a different event hosted by somebody else, but when looking at things further, it looked like they'd all RSVP'd to the Backstage Knitting event, which, you know, it happens. People get confused in their misunderstandings, but I'm going to put this out into the world. Double check which event you are RSVPing to on Facebook and find out who is hosting it. Like, don't just blindly click yes if you're not sure what you're going to. Just put that out there. But we had a great time. I made notes for things to do for next year, and I'm really excited. So, yay! Other events that have not yet occurred or are in process. We are in the middle of the Tour de Fleece, July 7th through 29th, and I'm a captain on Team Sasquatch, so that is kind of the big podcaster umbrella team for Tour de Fleece and the Ravelinics. So if you can't choose between a certain podcaster and you just love us all, well, come check it out. I will be starting our next knit along, I think middle of August. It will be a back to school knit along, and I'm gonna let that percolate in your brain, and I will get more details out when I talk to you next. Other events, Mariner Stitch and Pitch is Tuesday, July 31st at Safeco Field. I will be there with my big pink hair, so come find me. Anna will be with us, which is awesome, as well as my usual mother and sister entourage and knitting group. And there are shops, and you get a prize just for being there. Last year it was a needle holder. The year before it was a really cute, like, Mariner's Stitch and Pitch tote bag. I don't know who they're playing, but it's a good time. You go, you knit in the sun, you have a beer and a hot dog, and yeah, I have a good time. So, and then lastly, they just announced the dates for the Fall Pacific Northwest Yarn Crawl. So that is September 28th through the 30th. I will most likely be doing my Get It All Done in a Sunday with my mom and my sisters on Sunday, September 30th. So if you are planning to go to that, you should, because it's a lot of fun and you get cool prizes and all of that good stuff. So, let's see. Events, craftivism, and on the needles and off the needles, and rehearsal and Netflix and knit, and I think that is just about everything. So, I want to thank everybody again for sticking with me as I've transitioned to being a solo act, and who've checked me out on YouTube, and who are still listening on Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate the support. So again, join our Ravelry group. Come introduce yourself. Yeah, I love getting to know all of you guys, and that makes me super happy. So yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. Show notes where I will link to everything I have talked about in this week's episode can be found at backstageknitting.com. You can email me with questions, comments, concerns at backstageknitting@gmail.com. And I hope everybody is staying cool, having a great summer, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.